Hello, everybody. It's been a while since I've been able to do kind of a diary format, but that's because of today's topic, a lesson learned. Even though I came with a film background and knew about all these variables that came around, I still got hit with something because, even though I'm trying to build something with the channel, it's still more of like a side thing as I try to survive doing other things in the world. And so, what do I mean? Well, I went to Iceland a few months ago and I interviewed quite a few people, and some of them were very spontaneous. It's like overhearing somebody, and I'm like, oh, you do that? Can I interview you? Well, case in point, I was in a kind of valley area on a volcano or near a volcano, and I stumbled upon this geologist and we just chatted. Well, as you guys may have guessed, when you're in a valley or just in that kind of terrain, you get a lot of winds. It was especially windy that day. And out of all the windy days that I had in Iceland, because it's a very windy country, that one was so windy that I couldn't hear anything. And he's a soft spoken guy. I'm usually pretty loud in my interviews, and I couldn't even hear me. So the audio was just plain bad. And I record off a phone. The quality's good enough nowadays. You can record off the phone. And it just kind of taught me to go the next step. So I used to have just a plain background because my point that I was trying to prove is simplicity can still do certain things, as long as you get the message across, blah, blah, blah. Even though I know people love aesthetics. Well, I eventually caved in and got this, but I kind of found my compromise because I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can at least show a QR code that leads to like my nonprofit and talk about my nonprofit. Well, with audio, I'm like, okay, now I gotta look into like, a shotgun or something of the sort to pick up good audio. And it's just a shame because I can't even hear the guy. It was very insightful. He was a geologist, so he talked about why he came. It's like one of the few places you can see an active volcano without crazy regulations stopping you from getting very close. Uh, and then he talked about the rocks, which I can't even repeat back to you because it's not my field, so I like instantly forgot. It was just a shame. He was a good guy. His son-in-law was a good guy. Um, and it was an experience I wish I could show, but the audio was just so bad. Now, keep in mind, maybe down the line, if I bump into somebody who has time to kill, an audio engineer or something, I'll have them see if they can salvage it, and then I'll post it again. What I will do is I'll post it still and just have it on mute or have it down low because it's very windy and like not fun to listen to. But if you want to see the guy and see that, this was a true story, it was just a shame that it didn't work out. But it was just one of those things where it was spontaneous, it didn't have the equipment, slowly realizing that, even these YouTubers or influencers or just whatever you want to call these people that aren't, A-list Hollywood, they have still a lot to do. Still have a lot. I do simple format editing. I do diary style, so that it could cut my time with editing. I could just pretend like I'm clicking, and it's like cool. And I like that because it's I'm currently out of the realm of clean and cut. I've just seen too many movies that now have made life very generic. So I kind of like the flaws of a diary type thing and me coming into the camera and just like, oh. But what I don't like are when it's just too shadowy. You can't see the person and you can't hear the person, because then what's the point, right? I don't care if it's like I don't get 3-point lighting on me. I don't care about that. I use natural because it's creates a sense of realism. But if you can't see me or hear me, then what's the point of me shooting this thing? So it's just a very disappointing thing. I wanted to mention it. It'll probably be, when I post this video, it'll be like the only video at the end that I'll kind of like say, hey, take a look of what could have been. And then maybe one day I'll be able to like edit it and show the true interview, assuming that the audio is not too terrible and it's manageable. So anyway, just wanted to give you this story. It's a bummer. Sorry, Rick. And yeah, we'll go from there.